Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod made by IncogneatoBurrito, part of the Book of Sorcerers mod. Now the Aberrant Mind, or Aberrant, there's two pronunciations for it, fits perfectly within Baldur's Gate 3, as one of the origins is you were implanted with a mindflayer tadpole, but Ceramorphosis was never completed, so now you get the psionic powers from it. So fits perfectly within the lore of Baldur's Gate 3. Now, the Aberrant Mind here, the icon was made by Superdagnot, the Greater the Fighter and other subclass combined mod. Pretty cool collab here, but this comes with psionic spells, so you can actually later cast these while you're silenced and while using sorcery points instead of spell slots. But at level 1 here, we get Arms of Hadar and Dissonant Whispers. Later on, we get Hunger of Hadar, which I know a lot of people really enjoy. But we also get the Synaptic Sliver cantrip here. You also do get full compatibility with Mistress spells to be able to get things like the Beholder, which is a little bit different from the mod that there is out currently from Halves Glimpse as well. But Synaptic Sliver here is nice because it'll give a penalty to saving throws, so you can set up your other casters as well. And we get our special ability here, the Telepathic Presence, so you can reach out and distract your targets with psionic energy. Targets of your psionic spells will make their saving throws with disadvantage. This is huge because it's a bonus action. You can basically set up your spells to have a much higher chance of success. And as for cantrips, I like to have Mage Hand, Bone Chill to stop targets from receiving healing. Friends, as it's an enchantment cantrip, makes sense here, and Firebolt. And for our spells at level 1, I'd recommend Shield and Magic Missile. Now, I like to roll with a high dexterity, but you can swap these stats around as you please. Going with a Hag's Hair, take your Charisma up to 17, use the Hag's Hair to take it to 18. If you don't want to use the Hag's Hair, you can put those points into this. Now, you can also swap the Dex and Constitution if you prefer having more health. I just think the higher dexterity for Initiative and Armor class is good. And always make sure you got the Persuasion there, and Deception works good too. Now, level 2 is when we get our first meta magic choice. I recommend Distance Spell. 50% increased spell range is huge because sometimes you can't hit a target with a normal spell. And Twin Spell, because we can later twin haste to ourselves and somebody else. I like to grab Thunderwave here, but Mage Armor is also really nice. You can grab scrolls of it so you don't have to cast this and prepare a more damaging option. It's your choice entirely. Thunderwave is just nice for pushback. Level 3 gives us more psionic spells with Calm Emotions. This is a really good spell in Act 1. There's a couple moments where you can really utilize this with like the Harpies and at the Druid Grove, so you can cast this to stop them. And the Gnolls, if they got their multi-attack, especially in Honor mode, this is going to be very helpful for that. Detect Thoughts also being an extremely powerful spell and one you want to have. Now, we also get access to things like Warp Sense if you wanted to grab it. Actually, no, this is from a different mod, but Hold Person or Scorching Ray are my choices for damage spells because you can get the Hat of Fire Acuity into Act 2 and then get your spell save DC maxed out with a single Scorching Ray. But Hold Person if you want to support your team, and as an enchantment spell kind of makes sense for this. For our meta magic here, we're going to grab Quicken Spell for that bonus action spell casting. It's just extremely useful to have. It opens versatility up of the caster quite a bit. Now, at our next level, we get another cantrip here. Ray of Frost can be nice because it also applies a condition on the target, and there's a lot of gear that procs off conditions, so that can be good, or even the Shocking Grasp. For our spell that we'll be selecting, I like to have Hold Person, although Shadowblade, if you want to multi-class this, we're not going to for the purpose of this video, but Misty Step and Mirror Image are two other great choices. Cloud of Daggers is guaranteed damage, so that can be a good choice too if you wanted something like that. And I'll actually toss a recommendation at Crown of Madness here. It makes the target attack someone nearby them, and then the target may attack back at them, so you can start a little war. It's an underrated spell for sure. Now for the feat that we'll be selecting here, Alert for the +5 to Initiative is always a good choice. However, I think we're going to go with a higher Charisma, especially if you're going to play as the face of the party. Better spell casting is really great. Level 5 gives us Hunger of Hadar. Fantastic spell. We also get Fear, which gives the target disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. Another really powerful spell. And then we also get access to our level 3s with Lightning Bolt, Counterspell, and Fireball being the top choices. I like Lightning Bolt just to give yourself a large area of effect straight line attack. Level 6 gives us the Psychic defense. You get resistance to psychic damage, advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Huge. We also get Psionic Sorcery, so now we can use our sorcery points to cast our spells instead of spell slots. And if you catch a spell this way, you can do it while silenced. Pretty good. Previously, you only really had Ice Knife if you were silenced. This opens things up. Silence is kind of weak in this game. But next we get Counterspell, really useful. I guess silence can be good if you're using difficulty mods where the enemies can silence you. That would be good. Now level 7 gives us more choice in spells with Ever's Black Tentacles, making difficult terrain, dealing damage over time. Confusion is my favorite because this is a huge area of effect. Enemies only have a 1 in 10 chance of doing their normal actions, so they're likely going to hurt each other. At this point, I like at level 7 to grab the Ice Storm spell to be able to create difficult terrain without having to hold a concentration in good crowd control. Our next choice in spell, greater invisibility, is pretty useful, and we can go back to grab fireball because sometimes just the area effect is much better than lightning bolt. At this point, I think the best choice is to max charisma. If you took up the hag's hair, you can go with the alert feat. Either of those are going to be good choices. You can also go with the warcaster feat as well. Level 9 gives us access to telekinesis and dominate person. They're okay, not going to be top choice. We then get things like Cone of Cold, which are fantastic. Hold monster, great in a lot of fights, and insect plague is okay crowd control. I just recommend grabbing Cone of Cold. Level 10 gives us our last cantrip choice. Unless you go to level 20, I'd actually recommend having minor illusion. You can sneak around with that really easily. We'll grab hold monster, and for the metamagic, careful spell or extended spell. We'll go with careful spell there. And level 11 gives us our revelations in flesh. Unleash the aberrant truth hidden in you, warping and changing your body in numerous ways. So you got the psionic sight, which gives you the ability to see invisible creatures and reveal them to others. And you cannot be blind, and you get the ability to see out in the dark to a range of 18 meters. There's a sonic flay, which allows you to fly short distances over difficult terrain. And also the sonic malleability, which makes you immune to being restrained and cannot be moved against your will, which is huge because shoving people is one of the easiest ways you can go 100 to 0 quickly. Additionally, you can squeeze through most small places, kind of like a gaseous form. Pretty nice. We also get one of the best spells in the game, Chain Lightning, and you can also grab Globe of Invulnerability if you need to fit a more defensive purpose on the team. Level 12, now I would recommend really, really powerful spell, just defensive. You could also grab Disintegrate because I think it's kind of funny for a build like this. Circle of Death is also pretty good too, although with friendly fire. And at this point, as mentioned, you can go with the Warcaster there for the advantage on saving throws if you don't have the Constitution Amulet or an ability score improvement to take up your Charisma. Or you can go with the Lucky Feat. I think that's just a good complement for this as well because they can really save your hide. Now, we can end it at level 12 or we can go to level 13. There's nothing really super important for spells. You can just grab your personal preferences here, but I'm just going to show this off to show off all the subclass features because at level 14, we get the improved telepathic presence. You now use your telepathic presence twice for short rest. And level 15, another spell slot selection. I guess Disintegrate because it's funny. And at level 16, we get another feat. I would recommend grabbing Tough because this will give us an extra 40 health if we're going all the way up to level 20. It's also good if you're going to level 12 because that's an extra 24 health. We just choose another spell at level 17, and we get another metamagic, so you can go with extended spell. And level 18, this is when we get the warping implosion, doing a 3d10 of force damage, warping to a nearby space, drawing all enemies to the point you left from. So this is actually a very cool ability, making everyone pull into one spot, and then you fly away, and then you can drop a fireball. It's, yeah, absolute cinema. And you get a free cast without sorcery points once per long rest. For our final feat, we could grab Spell Sniper and take Eldritch Blast to make it feel like it's a Warlock a little bit. An ability to score improvement on your dexterity or constitution, and even the elemental adept on fire, so you can blast away scorching ray a little bit more. But I like the ability to score improvement on dex for more initiative and just armor class. And level 20 just gives us another sorcery point, and we get 4 of them if we start a battle without any. Okay. And this is the Dolly address from the Celestial Threads mod by Aridea on Nexus mod. Now, an item that I think works very well here is the Brain Drain Gloves. So whenever we deal psychic damage, we apply the mental fatigue on the enemy for 2 turns, which gives them -2 to their intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws, which is really good. And since that's a condition, we can use the Boots of Stormy Clamor alongside that to also proc Reverberation. It's a great choice. The Robe of the Weave is the best choice. Really the best available robes. In the early game, you can go with the Potent Robes. It's going to be a good choice. Adding our charisma modifier onto our Synaptic Sliver cantrip there, so that can be a nice boost to the overall damage. I also like the Robe of Supreme Defense is giving you an armor class boost when we're concentrating. Then there's also the Boots of Stormy Clamor here, which I guess we already covered that one to give us this reverberation. But what's also nice about this is if you got the Illithid ability drain, you can proc that as well, so you don't even need the Brain Drain Gloves. I also want to mention that you can also apply the Gloves of the Belligerent Skies here to apply the reverberation on the enemy too, and Bracers of Defense if you're not going to be wearing a shield. And for our hat, we're going with the Birthright for the +2 to charisma, but I mentioned the Hat of Fire Acuity is really good too, because that can stack up our spell save DC a lot higher, but I'm just going to roll with this. In the early game, the Haste Helmet's nice to get increased movement speed. Now the best staff is Marka Heshker, but there is a lot of staffs throughout the game. You can go with the Morning Frost in the early to mid game, because this will give you chilled on the enemy, which means that we can apply double damage with things like Ray of Frost or Ice Knife's cold damage. You really can use the best available. If you got the Staff Cherish Necromancy, that's a fine choice as well. But I really like the Kreska's favor here. The lightning charges for the extra damage is really nice on top of all of this, so it's worth going with this, and it also gives you a free chain lightning. Also, you have Iconia's Walking Fortress and the Hellrider Longbow for that +3 to our initiative. Now, we can also go with the Ring of Mental Ambition, so when a target fails a saving throw against our spell or action, they get Mental Fatigue for 2 turns, which is great because a lot of our spells are going to have a saving throw. So, yeah, that's really good. Ring of Protection just gives us a higher armor class, and then the Amulet of Greater Health too. And with the Mage Armor applied, we got 24 armor class, not too bad. Another piece of equipment I should have mentioned is the Eversight Ring, because if you're playing as a Drow or if you got a Source of Darkness, you can hide out in that, and it's actually really good and it feels thematic for this. Now, one thing is, we got to deal damage. That's kind of the Sorcerer's role when it comes to combat, so I guess the first thing is, since we don't have any type of boost for our Arcane Duty, we still have a high hit chance with Chain Lightning, so this is kind of the best option for clearing out enemies at a time. If you have Call the Weak, you can see that you can get multiple enemies at once. That was 4 with a single blast right there. Pretty effective. Now, we got things like Average Black Tentacles and Hunger of Hadar, which we don't normally get access to, so these are not bad concentrations to hold, especially if you can put it at the back line and try to force enemies towards your team this way. That way you're able to actually get a lot of extra damage off and also protect your team because the enemies are going to go through that difficult terrain. Now, another good choice that we got is a Quicken Spell, which lets us then go ahead. If there's enemies in a cone formation, Cone of Cold is typically going to be our best option. We get really lucky here in hitting 4 enemies at a time, so we're going to take the Cone of Cold because that's pretty good. Yeah, we took out everyone there. It's nuts. The Sorcerer is a really powerful class. It's funny because there's a lot of modded classes out there that are overpowered, but nothing really beats a Sorcerer with haste already applied, being able to cast 3 spells in the first turn of combat. Because at that point, if they're burning through their spell slots with things like Chain Lightning, you're good. We also have Hunger of Hadar that doesn't get upcast, but it's also good on our spell economy because we're only going to be using a level 3 spell slot, so it's like a fireball, not too bad. And the enemies are stuck in there, so that really was a pretty useless turn for them. They didn't get a whole lot of stuff off, and they also can't really do a whole lot of great casting because of this. You'd also use Average Black Tentacles for a bit of a different support. It'll have a little higher damage than the Hunger of Hadar, but it kind of gets the same thing done here. Now, Chain Lightning is going to be our best friend, but you can also, I'm not going to finish them off too quickly. I'll use the Synaptic Sliver there. This is really good for early game because that applies the Mental Fatigue twice. So they now have 4 stacks of Mental Fatigue, 2 turns of Reverberation. They have the Synaptic Sliver, so they're less likely to succeed on the next saving throw because they got a -4 and Synaptic Sliver. Synaptic Sliver given a 1d4 penalty, Mental Fatigue given a -4 to our mental saves, and Reverberation giving a -2 to their physical saves. They're also blinded, in difficult terrain, Hunger of Hadar, and temporary hostile, and having a very, very bad day. Which we can make worse because Ice Storm is the GOAT spell in Hunger of Hadar. It makes ice on top of all of that, so not only dealing a bunch of damage, we inflicted the dead condition on them, which is perfect. I almost feel bad doing a Quicken spell, but I'm going to hit him with the Dissonant Whisper. No, I'll hit him with the Mind Sliver on this target here, and call it a day for the turn. Wow, lightning charges are good. Hunger of Hadar may only hit for small chip damage, but you saw there, they took 2 steps and ended their turn, which lets us then go ahead with some more fun abilities. So the Telepathic Presence then can also make the target make their saving throws with disadvantage. So any spell we want to land, we can make it happen with all these different abilities here. So if you want to use Dominate Person, if you want to use Telekinesis, you can do it all. It's got so much versatility. It's actually kind of crazy. Actually, you know what? We'll use the Warping Implosion here. So you target yourself, and then you target where you want to teleport to, and it's going to pull all nearby enemies into that spot. He was too far away for it, but you get the idea. And yeah, we'll just let him do his thing in Hunger of Hadar. Hopefully he gets a little bit closer. Go on, good job, buddy. You're almost there. And I feel really bad. We're just going to use Telekinesis to finish this off, because yeah, you can do some pretty funny things with Telekinesis. If you don't value the loot, you can just chuck them like that. So yeah, it's the ABERRANT Mind Sorcerer. The Warping Implosion will use 5 sorcery points. I should have mentioned that a bit earlier. If you don't, if you've already used it once per long rest, it's really good because it's basically Black Hole with a teleport, and it also does force damage on top of all that. So it can be great because then you can drop a Fireball, Lightning Bolt, Cone of Cold, Ice Storm, you name it on top of there, or even drop your Hunger of Hadar. So interesting spell list. I'll also be covering the other subclasses for the Book of Sorcerer 5e subclasses combined mod here by IncogneatoBurrito. Let me know which one of these you want to see next. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one.